Good morning on this Monday, the day before tax day. You have found us here for the Weather Desk. So excited to be here with you. It's today's top weather headlines. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller, operating from the 13 News Now studios in Norfolk, Virginia, serving Southeast Virginia, Northeast North Carolina, the Outer Banks. Let's talk about our topics, what we're going to tackle today. We've got a warm weather surge for the East Coast, and that comes at a price. There is a threat of severe weather for parts of the region. I'm going to break that down. We'll talk about what those threats are and how it has been evolving. If you were watching here on the 13 News Now Plus streaming channel and on the app, you probably heard Taylor Stephenson with our After Daybreak show talking about, hey, we just were included parts of the area in the severe weather outlook. That was not the case earlier this morning during daybreak. The models held the really bad weather farther north up towards D.C. and the Baltimore area. That has changed a little bit with the latest round of models coming in. So I'm so glad you found us right here, right now, because we're going to take a deeper dive and a closer look at those severe weather threats and how things have changed up just within the last hour or two. So some kind of breaking or developing weather information to share with you. We also are going to talk about that cold water danger. We've got highs today. They're going to be close to 80 degrees. Our local waters, both the Chesapeake Bay and the ocean right now, sitting in the low 50s. Now, you think about it, you hear about this craze of cold plunging, how people will put their bodies into cold water and all the health benefits associated with that. That's something that's been gaining a lot of traction over the last several years. Well, think about this. People cold plunge. They attempt to get their bodies able to acclimate for short periods of time. Waters that have temperatures down into the 40s, okay? Right now, our water temperatures are in the low 50s, so it's almost that cold right now. The bottom line is there can be real problems if you think, well, it's 80 degrees out, I'm gonna go paddleboard, for instance, and you fall off into really cold water. That can pose some real danger. So we're gonna talk about that, and we're gonna talk about why air and water temperatures differ so much. You might think, well, why is it that the air temperatures will swing dramatically and the water temperature doesn't change very much? We'll break that down coming up. All right, also, we've got that historic Blue Origin launch. That launch window opens at 9:30 in about 22 minutes or so as we are doing this show live now. So we're going to talk about some conditions with that, what's going on, the latest with the Blue Origin launch. And how about this? Winds absolutely rocking China. They are hoping things are getting better now. We'll check in on that and another Myanmar earthquake that going on over there as well, and a another volcano erupted in the Philippines. So a lot to check on over across the globe and around the other side of the planet. We do have some activity going on in Asia. Here's what we've got for you right now. Locally, temperatures responding to southwest winds. It's driving temperatures up now into the upper 50s. We're on our way. Highs today, as I mentioned, are going to be closer to 80 degrees, upper 70s to near 80. And I wanted to show you this because look at how much colder it is. North central western U.S. We get this surge of warm weather here, colder there. When you look at the 24-hour temperature change, you see this big warm-up that is working eastward and towards the East Coast. So we do have the warm-up coming. Louisville, 17 degrees warmer than it was at this time yesterday. St. Louis up 10, Cleveland up 15. A lot warmer as we look, and then much cooler behind the system. So you know it's a pretty potent storm system that is coming together. Now, I'll tell you, I've been fighting some allergies and a little bit of an irritation in my throat. So if I have to step back off the camera every once in a while, clear my throat, forgive me. I'll try to cut the mic and spare you that. But I do want to let you know, as we take a look here, we've got some more changeable weather coming up. Now, we look at the area of low pressure spinning. This is the parent low. This is the center of the activity. We've got an occluded front extending out from that. That occluded front extends down through Michigan and right down along the Indiana-Michigan border. That's where we find our triple point, and then a cold front extends down to the south from that. This is going to slide eastward, okay? The occluded front is a sign that this is a very mature storm system. It's got both properties of the cold front and warmer air kind of wrapping in, so both warm and cold front kind of properties. Very mature system here. Snow rain, heavy rain up around Lake Superior. This is going to work eastward with the surge of warmer air in this area, especially West Virginia and into portions of Northern Virginia. We have to watch out for the potential for severe weather. So we're going to get into this, and we'll take a look at a future cast on this in just a moment, the models. But I wanted to start off by showing you the severe weather threat. This was not in place as I did the show early this morning. It was farther to the north, impacting Northern Virginia, but areas off to the northwest. Hampton Roads was certainly in good shape, but you see now that anywhere from Kentucky across West Virginia and northern and central parts of Virginia, we have this level 2 threat for severe weather. For Hampton Roads, for the 13 News Now viewing area, the one that we serve in southeast Virginia, northeast North Carolina, we'll take a closer look. It's really just this level 1 threat. So again, this is across the northern part of the area, North Carolina not included at all. But you can see the eastern shore, there's a level 1 threat, northern neck, the middle peninsula, and the peninsula all under a level 1 threat. The timing on this, that I will show you coming up with the future cast, but let's talk some more about the threats. Could we see gusty winds? Yeah, that's always a concern, powerful gusty winds. In addition to that, we have to watch out for maybe some hail. We'll take a look at that threat here. This is the wind, and again, you can see 15% or so, kind of that level 2 threat for wind damage. You look at the hail, it's about the same. There is some potential for some larger hail, Northern Virginia back into West Virginia and Kentucky. Again, not overly concerned. For the metro area, we should be okay. Areas off to the north and west, once you get up north and west around Williamsburg or areas north and west of that, really, that's where you come into that kind of level 1 threat, only a 5% chance, but something to be mindful of as you go farther north into Northern Virginia, Northwest Virginia. That's where we're going to have to watch for the increasing chances for the hail. And back across West Virginia, this is an area where we're also more concerned with the potential for isolated tornadoes. Now, the chances, again, only 5%. That we would see a tornado within 25 miles of any point shaded here in brown. So it's not like a guarantee, but a few isolated tornadoes certainly possible back across West Virginia. This is the area most likely, and that would include areas back into Kentucky. I think about places like Grayson, and as you're traveling from West Virginia, you come in through Huntington and Charleston, back down just north of Beckley, but areas back off through the central and then northeast parts of West Virginia as well. For Northern Virginia, the tornado threat is lower, but you can see just west of D.C., certainly the Charlottesville area, Stanton, these areas off to the north we'll be watching just in case, okay? Again, a very isolated risk, but it is something that we'll keep an eye to. Now, as far as the excessive rainfall, this is interesting because, again, the models are very light with any rain here for Hampton Roads, and the chances are not great for the metro area. But if some of that heavier rain does extend down, there's this level 1 threat. It's marginal, but there is a threat for some excessive rainfall off to the north and to the west. So we're going to be watching there as we go along, and this is something that we will be mindful of, as we break all of this down. You look at where the wet weather is right now. Satellite radar images showing a little bit of wet weather here. This is not really directly associated with the main storm system we're looking at. I will show you that this area of low pressure spinning up into Canada and the upper peninsula of Michigan, as that moves along, it's eventually going to trigger some showers and storms as it drags that front down into the Ohio River Valley. So this is at 5 o'clock this afternoon. Notice Hampton Roads in great shape today. As we look off to the northwest, we see this development through 7 o'clock. These could be some of those stronger storms working through West Virginia. As we go to 9 o'clock, now it's starting to push into Northern Virginia. You see this kind of extending down. This is the HRRR model. This is the high-resolution rapid refresh model that I've got this future cast set up on. As we look ahead to this evening around 10 o'clock, again, storms across Northern Virginia, back through West Virginia, and we see some of that working back off to the east and passing by to the north. Excuse me, that's the graph model I just showed you, okay? So that shows that information with that wet weather going through. I can show you, again, there is that chance for wet weather, but it's mainly off to the north. This is the HRRR model, and what I wanted to show you with the HRRR model is that it does bring some of that more intense rain farther south. So this is the one, again, that the Storm Prediction Center is taking a look at and saying, okay, we need to pay closer attention a little farther south. Notice how this model does bring some intense rain, and this is at 11:30. Still, Hampton Roads dry through the evening, but off to the north, some more heavy rain farther north, and maybe a few stronger storms sagging a little farther south. This is the reason that the Storm Prediction Center is kind of saying maybe we need to focus that area a little farther to the south. You see how it still largely passes by to the north of Hampton Roads. Not a lot going on here. Some heavier rain, maybe up around the eastern shore over to the middle peninsula, back towards Richmond. You can bet our team will keep you updated here at 13 News Now. If you live up in those areas, check back with Tim Pandages later this afternoon and this evening. He'll let you know if we do get any of that development later this evening. By early tomorrow morning, 1:30, 2 o'clock, it should be pretty much out of here, and we're looking good through the morning tomorrow. You'll notice that the HRRR model here, that's that high-res rapid refresh model, does bring in a few of those stray showers a little bit later as we go through the middle part of the day on Tuesday. And then after that, we'll see clearing into Wednesday, and the temperatures will cool back down. Today, it's going to be warm, upper 70s, close to 80. Tomorrow, a bit of a transition day, back into the low 70s, and then back into the 60s for Wednesday and Thursday. But we will enjoy a lot of sunshine, so I'm excited about that. As I mentioned, most of the models have not really been producing much in terms of rain chances. This is for Norfolk. You can see a little bump here, like, oh, maybe a couple of stray showers, but you can see this model, the graph model, not too excited about the rain chances. That's just one. As we take a look at the GFS, that's the U.S. Global Forecast System. That one, not showing a ton, but a few hundredths. The Canadian is the gem. That's that model producing just 700ths. The NAM doesn't really produce anything for Norfolk. The Euro and the graph all dry. So again, most of the models keep it farther north, but it is something that we will watch, and we'll let you know if anything changes. Now, we do want to take a quick live look at our sky view. This is a Thompson Creek Window Company sky view. That's a look up, well, I was showing you up in Newport News at Oyster Point. What you're looking at right now is a live look over Virginia Beach. It feels warmer outside today. We do have temperatures that are going to top out today, upper 70s to near 80. So it's not too bad at the beaches. You see some folks right there walking along the boardwalk, enjoying the temperatures that are starting to warm. But we've got to warn you about the cold water danger. Taylor Stephenson breaks it down for us.
The National Weather Service and the United States Coast Guard run a cold water program 3 times a year to promote cold water safety. Spring is one of those times. During March and April, air temperatures can get warm enough for a beach day, but the water temperatures remain chilly enough to induce cold water shock or hypothermia. In this case, a special alert can be issued. If the high temperature is greater than 60 degrees, the sea surface temperature, or SST, is less than 60 degrees, the difference between the high temperature and the water temperature is greater than 15 degrees, and the wind speeds are less than 20 knots or 23 miles per hour under fair skies, this will trigger a cold water danger day. So when will ocean temperatures finally warm up? Well, that doesn't happen until May, when the average Atlantic water temperature at Virginia Beach rises to the 60s. By the middle to late summer, the average temperature will climb to the upper 70s. For 13 News Now, I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson.
All right, so today's highs, as I mentioned, pushing upper 70s to near 80, and those water temperatures today, low 50s. So you might be wondering why the water temperatures are still pretty frigid, even on some of these days where the air is getting so warm. Our chief meteorologist, Tim Pandages, explains.
Comes to storing and transferring heat, air and water behave very differently, and it all comes down to their heat capacities. Simply put, heat capacity is a measure of how much energy a substance can absorb before its temperature rises. Water has a much higher heat capacity than air, meaning it can absorb a lot more heat without getting as hot. Think of it like this. If you boiled a pot of water on the stove and heated an empty metal pot next to it, the empty pot would get hot much faster than the one with water. That's because air inside the empty pot heats up quickly, while water takes much longer to warm due to its high heat capacity. This is exactly why areas near oceans or lakes tend to have more stable temperatures. Water absorbs heat during the day and releases it slowly at night, acting like a thermal buffer. Air, on the other hand, responds quickly to temperature changes. So landlocked areas often experience hotter days and colder nights. On a molecular level, water's ability to form hydrogen bonds plays a big role. These bonds soak up energy as they stretch or break, which slows down temperature changes. Air, mostly made of nitrogen and oxygen, doesn't have those bonds, so it heats and cools much faster. Understanding these differences is super helpful for everything from weather forecasting to building better heating and cooling systems. And it explains why a dip in the ocean feels so much better on a hot day than just catching a breeze. I'm Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandagis.
Wow, lots of great information there, Tim. Thank you. All right, so I mentioned today's a warm day. A lot of folks may be heading out to the water. And again, you have to be very, very careful out there. And as always, we always tell folks wear flotation devices, safety devices, personal flotation devices. You can see out on the water, Chesapeake Bay at 54, 52 for the ocean water temperatures. The winds are going to be fairly light on the bay for most of the day. The waves only 1 to 2 feet. Of course, with potential for showers and storms later tonight, especially the northern end of the bay, things could get a lot messier, and a small craft advisory will go up overnight. For the ocean waters, southwest to south winds 5 to 15, gusting up to 20 knots, in the seas there 2 to 3 feet. All right, that's a look at our boating forecast here along the coast in Southeast Virginia. Now, did you know today, April 14th, you thought it's just the day before tax day, right? No, it's also look up at the sky day. It's a day to kind of slow down. Just take a moment and glance up at the sky. We're not saying it's stare at the sun day. That's never a good idea, all right? But take a moment to just appreciate the beauty in the sky. Notice the clouds and the gorgeous conditions a lot of times from horizon to horizon. It's really cool to take a moment for yourself. And I'll tell you what, today's a great day to look up in the sky, because in just minutes, Blue Origin founder Jeff Bezos will send his fiancée, Lauren Sanchez, into space on a rocket ride with singer Katy Perry, Gayle King, and 3 other women. It's the first all-female space flight in over 60 years. The scheduled flight will last 11 minutes, and they get down to microgravity. Now, I believe this is a live look at the site of the launch in Texas. Again, the window opens up at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, and you can see right now the skies there at Van Horn, Texas, right now near the launch area, partly cloudy. It's looking okay. I was a little concerned about the winds, but I don't think they're too bad right now. I was looking at conditions just before we started the weather desk, and so far so good. So you can see with the live coverage, Oprah there wishing her friend Gayle King all the best on this launch, and it's just an extremely exciting time for folks that are involved with that. We will continue to monitor that at 13 News Now, and we will keep you updated as things go. Be sure and stay tuned to 13 News Now throughout the day. All right, we're going to take a look right now at what's happening with some interesting stuff around the globe. And we're here in the United States. We don't have any earthquake activity here on the East Coast, but we do have something to talk about back in Myanmar. Again, would you believe another earthquake yesterday? This one, magnitude 5.5. It struck a small city in central Myanmar Sunday morning. Now, this is just some video we got just days ago of cleanup efforts from the same area, and this was after that massive 7.7 magnitude tremor that also hit the country's central region back in March. So they are still working to clean up. Obviously, you know, here we are 3 weeks later, and you still have just an incredible mess on their hands there. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, yesterday was one of the strongest of hundreds of aftershocks since that March earthquake. As of Friday, the death toll from that quake was over 3,000, with over 5,000 people injured. So again, these are aftershocks that we're reporting on now back in Myanmar, but they are still dealing with, obviously, the devastation from the major quake back in March. Now, that's what's happening in Myanmar. I want to take you right now over to the Philippines. And what we have for you there, again, Mount Canlaon, all right, and right there we have a volcano, and there's been some eruption there. So looking at that, again, a little bit of activity. We always like to try to show you some of the different things going on around the world. There's the video of this eruption as ash billows from this volcano in the Philippines. It's pretty spectacular. And again, they've been monitoring this. They know that these things are potentially active. That's why they've got the camera on time lapse to capture activity. But it is very cool to check that out. And again, folks here monitoring that closely. Now I want to take you from the Philippines, and we're going to take a look back up into China. And I mentioned they've been dealing with some issues as well. Beijing residents hope for a return to normalcy this morning after typhoon-like winds disrupted flights and businesses. As you can see, it was really something there in Beijing. You can see those motorcycles knocked over. The gusts were so strong that you had several, not just one or two, but several knocked over. Last reported by Reuters, wind gusts were up to 93 miles per hour, the strongest in the Chinese capital for more than half a century. Hundreds of China flights were canceled and trains suspended over the weekend. Some old trees were trimmed in preparation, but almost 300 trees have already fallen over in the capital. Luckily, no injuries have been reported, so that is certainly some good news. All right, we're going to take a look now at what's happening here and what's next. Okay, we've got a very warm start to the week. I mentioned that earlier. We're going to see temperatures up around 80. Low rain chances for us tomorrow, but there's a chance with the front coming through. It's going to be cooler for midweek and then warmer by the weekend. You take a look at the almanac. Yesterday's high was 62. We are about a quarter of an inch below average for the year as far as rainfall goes. 70 is normal for this time of year. Obviously, we're going to be well above that today. One more live look with our Thompson Creek Window Company sky view up at Oyster Point, Newport News. You see some of the clouds moving through. We will see a mix of clouds and sunshine today with more sunshine later on. Right now, winds are south at 10 miles per hour. Temperatures are on the way, mid-50s inland, but upper 50s right now at the airport. By midday, close to 70 degrees, looking pretty good with some still clouds hanging near the coast and off to the north. More sunshine down to the south, and we start to see some breaks down to the southwest as well. As we go through the afternoon, the sky should be partly sunny to mostly sunny. It should clear out a little bit as we go through the evening. We're going to be watching again this model, the graph model showing the moisture to the north. That HER model brings some rain farther south, and we are going to start looking for some of that late evening, and then by early tomorrow morning, say 1 o'clock or so, it should be clear of the area anyway. Through the day tomorrow, it's looking okay. Chances for a few stray showers. Don't want to rule that out. Beyond that, temperatures cool down. Skies are going to be mostly sunny as we get into Wednesday and Thursday, and then another warm-up for next weekend as we get ready for Easter. So there is a warming trend that we'll look forward to. Highs today, as I mentioned, upper 70s to near 80, so lots of warmth today. Suffolk, Franklin, Wakefield near 81. Up around Williamsburg, 79. 79 in Hampton, 78 at Gloucester. Temperatures in the low 70s, Cape Charles to Melfa, and down across northeast North Carolina. Mid-70s at the Outer Banks and our inland areas in the lower 80s. Hertford, Elizabeth City, Currituck close to 80. Overnight tonight, the low's going to fall to 62. It'll be partly cloudy. So again, relatively warm overnight with the low near 62. Remember, yesterday's high was 62. we'll see those mild conditions. We will need to watch for that chance for showers and storms to the north. I do want to mention that again. That is a recent development that we are looking at, is that her model's bringing it down, something we will be watching for here. And I strongly encourage you to join our entire weather team later this afternoon for more updates as we get additional new modeling coming in. For tomorrow, an isolated shower or two possible, otherwise partly cloudy, 72. Turning cooler after that. As I do want to quickly address the allergy situation, tree pollen continues to be extreme. So if you've been suffering for a long time, hopefully we're going to get through this. You know, we'll get done with trees, and then it'll become grass pollen will be the next thing we worry about, and then weeds later in the season. So it's just one of those stretches we're in now. It looks like we're going to deal with it for a while. Cooler Wednesday and Thursday, Friday back up to 73. So Good Friday looking pretty good. On Saturday, a chance for a few stray storms late with a front coming through, or showers, I should say, maybe an isolated storm. We go from 83 on Saturday back to 70 for Easter Sunday. Right now, Easter looks good with mostly sunny skies, so those Easter egg hunts, maybe you've got some family pictures you like to take, or you get the kids dressed up in that perfect outfit. You want to get out in the yard and take some pictures with the family. You'll have some nice weather to do it there on Easter Sunday. All right, guys, I want to remind you, you can always stay up on the forecast, and it's so important you do that with our ever-changing weather. You can download our 13 News Now app, and we will have you completely covered. It's a free app, great forecast information, always available to you. And then, of course, you also have access to our radar, which is really important when we get the stronger storms coming through. So make sure you've got that downloaded. That's going to do it for this edition of the Weather Desk. We're back again every Monday through Friday. You'll see me here again tomorrow around 9 a.m. for our next edition of the Weather Desk.